Justin, thanks. And this has been awesome, just for so many people, just communicating. Again, you're just the forum and I guess just the brotherhood that's been kind of created around this whole pandemic and support of each other. And at the same time, hey, we're bored off our asses, so let's take advantage of the time if we can. If we're locked in, let's learn. But so yeah, I was kind of coerced into Ben Hammer out in Rock Island, and PJ Gibbs down in Florida area. They both were kind of, hey, you should do this. I'm not a guy that normally gets on and presents. I don't present at clinics. I've only done a couple in my 24 years of coaching. And this here is kind of what we do. And we created this thing, I'm going to say back in 07, 08, somewhere in there. And the rules just apply. And pretty soon this whole concept of the RPO kind of came around about 10 years later. Maybe it wasn't even that long ago. Maybe it was more like 6, 7 years ago. But it's just kind of taken off. And we've actually kind of we were kind of ahead of the RPO without realizing what we were doing. But yeah, we're trying to apply some simple rules to a passing concept that didn't matter what the defense did. We knew what we were doing for our offensive attack. So here's just a quick, fun. I'll put this screen back up at the end. I appreciate the guys that have already, reached out and kind of following each other. Again, it's just our fraternity and the brotherhood of this game it's been awesome. And thanks to USA Football, Aaron Ingram, and all the coaches that I've met a chance to meet in 4 years that I've been a part of the USA. This has just been fun and outstanding. But today's presentation has to do with the Delta package. So before we kind of get into what is our Delta, and that's what we call it, you guys may call it something different. You may have different rules for it, but this is one of the first things we talk about all the time on the coaching staff is how do you call plays? And I think this kind of comes down to just sometimes people always use the word, hey, let's try this play, let's try that play. And to me, that drives me absolutely bonkers. I just can't, don't try a play. You're calling a play for a specific reason. So here are 3 ways. We're trying to find the player, position, or play on the field that helps get the ball to the right spot. It might be a number count. It might be we just have a better personnel. We like the red zone, or, hey, we like midfield, or we like playing from the right or left hash, or, hey, man, we love the toss play, or we love counter or power. In this case, today we're talking about just kind of, how do we call our plays according to our Delta package concept. So here's the 3 kind of main areas, I guess along the line of scrimmage or 6 yards in shallow, and then what we're trying to do down the field. So we're trying to get our vertical stretch as well as a horizontal stretch, putting the defense kind of at a disadvantage, we believe. And then we have what we call is a hunt, and hopefully you guys can see the mouse, but we're stretching the field vertically. I don't care what coverage you're in. I don't care if you're in man 3, 6, 7, Tampa 2, it doesn't matter. We're also going to stretch the field horizontally along the line of scrimmage. And then we have what we call our check down, which we refer to as our hunt. As you can see, we're just in a trips or a trio formation, 1 back. We're going to count numbers pre-snap and get an idea of how many guys are defending our trips, how many guys are defending our 1 receiver side, or what could be a 2 receiver side. And all that kind of quickly comes down to a pre-snap look. And I'll come back to this if I need to, if you guys have a question about it. But here are the simple rules, right? So when we go over the rules, the call side, which we call our trips or our primary side, it could be you might call it right, left, might call it a blue, green, whatever, red, yellow, whatever you guys are calling it, right? So our call side, the very first receiver from the outside in is the first guy covered. And that means anyone inside of 6 yards with a man technique look, inside leverage, that guy has a go route. The very first guy who is uncovered will have what we call the hunt route. That is 6 yards over top of where number 3 preset aligns. So if we're in a bunch, if we're in a tray formation, if we're in a stacked look, a trips with a stack, I don't care. It's wherever a normal trips number 3 receiver would be. So in most cases, it's usually somewhere, if we're on the right hash, it's somewhere like around inside of the left hash, according to our high school dimensions of the field being 17 to 3rd yard spread, sideline to hash, hash to hash, hash to sideline. So we're kind of splitting the field up as best we can horizontally. The 3rd guy, whoever that is, just bubbles or swings, if you would. And I can go back over that again here in a second. But the backside, which is a single receiver or the two receiver side, again, the rule is 6 yards. You have a post or a go route. I don't care which one it is. You just have to pre-snap read it. So some guys may come up, play in your face like they're inside leverage. So you're telling yourself, I have a go. But just before the snap, he bails. And if he bails beyond 5 or 6 and you realize he's in the zone coverage, now you're running a post route and you're crossing his face. So real simple on our post, we just call, if it's 2 high defenders, we basically 2 high, take 2, which is the second goal post. If there's only 1 high free safety, we take the first goal post. Simple rules. I think most people around the country kind of call it that. The second guy, whether it be the running back, it could be a motion receiver coming over to the number 2 side. You have a bubble, a swing, or a flare, basically the same thing. You're just kind of horizontally stretching and getting beyond the pocket, getting outside the box and stretching the field horizontally, which is going to basically kind of stretch the defense, or it's a check down and you're getting you the ball. So here's it. How do we determine, and this is, I've already kind of said it, but 6 yards determines the rule. And that's what we do. Now, your place, you guys may see a lot more defenses playing man or zone, or press, something inside of 5. So maybe 5 yards needs to be your determined rule. Some people may disguise it. Like we have a particular program. Every time they line up at 7 and they're tilted outside, we know they're going to press man, but they're just trying to pre-snap disguise. So over the years, we've learned that. So again, kind of that bottom part there in the white, however, scouting finalizes your game plan. So where's the leverage, pre-snap leverage? It could be number count. Do we have a 3 against 3, or do we have a 3 against 2, or do we have 2 against 1? Could be a leverage. Again, we're trying to find that leverage in the field. Do they have more guys in the box so they can't cover the spread? Teams, programs in this part of one, just we know some teams like to cover you in a specific area of the field a different way. They disguise man, or they will run man once they hit the 25-yard line going in. So our red zone, they automatically always go to man. So we have a check for that within this, all built in. And it's just simple golden rules. All I have to do is give one signal, and everybody knows what this Delta package is, and they know what the rules are. And all they have to know is what position am I playing within it. And then obviously the zone within the field is kind of what I just described as well. But here's kind of what it would look like in a case of trio. All right, first guy covered. Now again, where is the defense at 6 yards? So if the defense is just lined up at 6 yards and are the inside leverage of the receiver. So if you can see my mouse, let's just say I'm inside, and maybe I'm at 3-4 yards here, and I'm playing the number 1 receiver in man, and I'm tilted towards him. Maybe I'm eyeballing the quarterback, but I'm inside leverage. I don't care where his eyes, hips, hands, it's his body position. So if that's the case, I'm the first guy covered. I run the go route. I'm just running clear. I'm taking off. It's one-on-one. I'm going to beat you deep. And the quarterback believes it. He's going to throw it up for you. And again, we always kind of know this stuff, but just by scouting, right? We know who's their best DBs and what have you. Some teams will play their best corner on the single receiver side, at like say a 4-2-5. And so they'll put more of their zone coverage guys over here. And that's something we've really learned the last couple of years. I spent a couple of nights in Texas with a coach who's a linebacker coach up in Washington. And he went over his rules for the 4-2-5. And I just kept sitting there listening and asking questions and realizing the Delta game can pick it apart because there's always a receiver open. So let's just say the next defender is playing inside leverage of number 3. Maybe it's an expanded linebacker. And then over top of all this in a triangle form kind of coverage, maybe it's a free safety sitting back at 10 yards. Well, number 2 then is the first guy uncovered. So again, first covered has a go, first uncovered has the hunt. Again, we say the hunt is 6 yards over top of where number 3 would line up in a trips formation. So if this thing was moved over to the right hash, number 3 would probably line up more maybe where this tackle is in an idea. So it would be kind of more spread out. So he's going to just basically line up. It's not where he was pre-snap. It's where a normal trips would be. That way we kind of keep the horizontal stretch. And then the third guy, or the odd man out, as we refer to him, just runs a bubble. So on the backside over here, we have the single receiver. He too is reading this thing. Is the guy pressing at 6, inside leverage, outside leverage. Now he may be sitting at 4 outside, but then we just go, hey, I'm not covered. So I'm going to run a clear, which basically keeps him down the sideline for a cover 2. say maybe that guy's going to sit and squat and take my swing away. That's fine. I'm going to run this, down the sideline, a little quick alley, and the quarterback's looking to hit me. Probably most likely in that triangle area that's hard to defend, that 14 to 22 yards area, kind of disclose in our program. I have some film. I'll show a guy defending them up close, which we would run a clear off, but we also see a bracket or a double coverage, a free safety over the top of him. So we declare that as that's the guy covering us. So we run a post, and I'll show you some film on how we've done a route adjust with that. So with that, I kind of want to here's just a quick group. This is now just us in quads. We just took the running back and moved him over. Now, what we can do is running back, we can tag. So everybody else runs delta. Number 2 on the backside, we don't have a number 2. We've now moved him to a number 4 position, but we can just tag him. So in this case, we're just going to say, hey, F, you're going to run a cross, or F, you're going to run a seam, or F, you're going to run an out. F, you're going to motion and come inside, and we're going to call what we call X, and you're going to block. So we don't care where, what the running back necessarily, the delta is always delta for all of the receivers. But we can tag a Z and H and what we call our L and R. We can tag guys to do things, but the rules all apply to everyone else unless we tag you. So let me just I'll push play on this. Just counting the top 3 guys. First guy here is covered. You can see his inside leverage, so he's going to run the clear. First guy uncovered is this number 2. He's going to run the hunt. The third guy out is going to run the bubble. We've already tagged the running back, so he's going to run across. This guy down here, number 1 on the backside, he knows he has a go or a post, depending on where this defender's position is at. So as we do this, we realize the quarterback's going to look for the hunt. You'll notice in these videos, the hunt becomes our primary shot. We're always looking to spin it there. We get it, get up the field. And I threw some film in here that's going to show us messing up and showing where the spots on the field would be, so you kind of get a chance to see it. So here it is. I'll let this thing just roll again. Again, we just take F cross, hold in middle backer, put in that outside backer on an island. Seeing that they're kind of trying to get us into this deep 3, cover 3 look, umbrella. We got a deep corner. They're trying to take this thing away. Well, we already know we're probably not going to be throwing deep with 2 receivers with 3 defenders, so we're going to throw shallow. So we keep the shallow piece more, into our arsenal, our game plan, what have you. So I'll go to the next one here. This one here we just call F seam. So the same kind of idea, same team. Okay, free safeties in the hash. We got press. We're going to run a clear off. Okay, now we put these guys in a bunch. Again, and we kind of say, hey, this guy's inside leverage apex. That's fine. These guys can talk amongst themselves. Sometimes some of your personnel just runs better routes than other guys. So when we get in a bunch, I say don't hand signal anything. Just talk. Who's got the bubble? Who's got the hunt? Who has the go? Again, the 3 deep umbrella inside the zone, kind of whatever. We're going to send the free safety down the middle because he has no one inside or even at the next level. We believe he's going to have a clear path. So we're the quarterback pre-snap. I've tagged him. Look for his pre-snap. We automatically see this linebacker's already eyeballing him. Inside leverage, this guy here is going to take away number 3 if he does come in. So it keeps the horizontal stretch. We can press these free safeties. We'll take a look at what it looks like here. Instantly, this guy starts to jump the number 2 or our number 4, our running back, which tells a quarterback he's always got the one-on-one. So going back real quick, we want to find the leverage. Over here, it's one-on-one. If it was 2-on-1, they have leverage. We do not. Over here, it's 4 against 4. But where's the 5th help here? So on both sides, we have leverage to both sides because we're equal. 4-on-4 and 1-on-1. But we're assuming if this guy jumps this way, it's 2-on-1, we're open. If he jumps this way, now they have 5 to our 1-on-1 with a free safety who's basically apex in the formation of our box. So, Coach, I see you popped up.
Yeah, so there's a question here. What % of your offense is delta?
Good question. Over the years, when we put this thing in back in 08, 09, 07, somewhere back in the late 2000s, it was probably 10, 15% of our passing game. Early 2000, 10, 15, somewhere in there, it probably became more half. But what we've seen with the RPO concept, this has become basically most of our passing concept. We don't even have to tag it. I can call inside zone to the right delta. and then the concepts are all there. You got the bubble, you got your slant, you got your seam, you got your one-on-one or your gift on the backside. So some guys call it key one, key two. We have rules within that, just when we get into our inside zone game with Delta. So it made it really simple building Delta, and all of a sudden realizing that the RPO concept that's become so popular is automatically already rolled into this whole thing. So we found it to be very similar. And I've got some plays on here showing inside zone with a Delta concept attached to it, which most people go, well, that's just RPOing, right? You got your run pass option. We didn't when we installed this. I'm not trying to say we're innovators of this thing at all, because I think we were not even realizing how this thing was going to kind of play out, but this has become a pretty good portion of our offense at this point. Again, here's just that, going back to that play. Again, we're just in bunch. If you notice, my bubble guy doesn't have to go anywhere. Now, quarterback in this case, this is us getting flushed out of the pocket. Everybody's covered up, and so we just get right back at it. Quarterback, it's you, right? This guy dips inside, we lose contain. Quarterback sprints out, makes something happen. So again, just kind of showing how some of this stuff worked. If I can just go back to this, if you take a look at our bubble guy, he's just going to horizontal. He doesn't have anywhere to go. He's just staying right here. He just stands there, makes that corner like, what are you going to do? But if my quarterback wouldn't have been stretched out of the, forced out of the pocket, that hunt route's going to come open right now. And we have a rule for when I go to search for the hunt and they jump me, I carry it across the field, and I show that in a second as well. So the rule is, as I'm running to my hunt, if I get covered up, I keep running. So I just pull that defender. As you can see, he's starting to come with my hunt. I'm beating that guy one-on-one across the field. Crossing route to maintain leverage by defenders, extremely hard, because they're either in zone, which I'm going to settle, or they're in man, and I'm going to outrun you all the way across the field. Okay, so going on to another one. This is the team that looks like they're playing man all the way across the board, but we know them because they're a local, they're a rival team up the road. They try to disguise this thing like they're playing man, but we notice that the corner's not in man leverage. These guys look like they're in man leverage. They got three guys down. They got a kind of a fourth in the box, outside stretch backer, kind of look like he might be bringing pressure. We have another backer over here who's probably going to take man if we just line up. So we line our running back up to the trip side. Now, we've also sprint out, run flood concepts and all that, and we get the running back to seal the edge. So this helps us too. Makes these guys think that maybe we're stretching the field to the wide side, but it's just delta. Okay, so running back now is going to go ahead and keep he's the number 2 on the backside. He's still going to swing. So if you notice, he just adjusted himself so he can clear the quarterback in case of bad snap. So he's going to swing. Now instantly, now we have a bad pass. So I show this just for the concept, even though we dropped this ball. They have no one under coverage. So we know we have a 2 against 1. So he clears out the corner. Let me go back, just pre-snap this thing. This backer's probably going to man our guy, but is he playing inside the box? He is. So they got 5 in the box, and they have no one to the flat except for this guy. So he's going to try to jump him. As we clear the backer or the corner with number 1 on his go or post. Okay. Now we're going to check it down to our number 2. So again, it's the rule count is it's 2 on 1, our advantage. We're throwing it there. If it's 2 on 1, their advantage, we're looking to go the other way, which means it's probably, in this case, 3 on 3 on the backside, which means we have man on man, and we're going to find the best leverage instantaneously. And we kind of already know by scouting our opponent who their weaker defender is in these formations. So we know kind of where the ball should be going. So the quarterback's got a preconceived thought of kind of like, hey, I'm looking for the go route because of the way that corner or this, whatever it may be. So you guys get it, right? So in this case, I'll go ahead and push play. They kind of bobble the ball, but we believe our hips are even. We're facing different directions. We're leaving. So we check it down real quick, get the ball to the running back. If we complete this thing, we think we can get a few yards and we win. In this case, running back drops the ball. And I think, open field, that's a hard tackle for that linebacker to make on our guy. We'll take that. We'll take that risk. So this is kind of going back to simple rules we apply to the passing game. What we learned that these actually play right into, and I've already said this, the RPO concept, which so many teams have gone to. And yet it's what we've always called Delta for, a dozen years now. Right? And it might not be Delta that you ran in college or what you guys ran, here nor there. It's just what we called it. It was just a simple game plan, kind of like some people are now running power to the right and they call it Oregon. They power to the left, they call it Washington or New Orleans Saints or whatever you short term. We just labeled this Delta a dozen years ago, and that's what we went with. So in here in the case, running back, we're going to inside zone with this. Running back is set to the trips. He's still the number 2 if we didn't tag this. If you notice over here, there's not a single flat defender, and there's no one that's going to be able to take him. So we thought if we can get ourselves, and these guys are staying too high, they're trying to bracket us a little bit. This guy here should be, number 1 to our trips, should be running a hunt. Why he doesn't is beyond me. Because we go, hey, first man covered is me. I should be running the goat. This guy is over top. That's the guy we declare as my man because of the way they're trying to bracket us. This guy here runs the hunt because there's no one there. So, coach, I'm the first guy uncovered. So we go, okay, well, he's the first defender, but he's the first covered guy or first defender who's got inside zone. We're going to run inside zone with the RPO concept, which we just tag Delta. Okay, so when we see that we can cross face, we get to it's just an RPO concept, right? With a clear on the sideline and a quick slant. So you got your bubble, slant, and a go on this. And this is typical RPO stuff, but we just take it inside zone, right? Delta. Of course, we have our actual name to it. On the backside, the single receiver side, we're getting one-on-one. So if we don't like the run game, we don't like the RPO, we got one-on-one up top. And then again, it kind of goes down to player, position, and play. Do we have the play? Do we have the player? Do we have the position of the field? In this case, we kind of said, and no lost love for my young man, the one-on-one, this defender was better than our receiver. So we thought we're not going to throw a one-on-one if he does press us. If he plays loose, we'll cross his face. We got the leverage on the post. Again, they're playing too high, so we got to keep, all posts very, very skinny. So we got to get back and stack the defender, or we got to get to the second upright on our post. So some things we talked about with each defender, quarterback's a part of those, or each receiver, quarterback's part of that discussion and game planning. Running this thing through, this is the same play. Running this one here. Now this is part of that no huddle stuff, right? This is kind of frustrating. This guy, the umpire already spotted the ball, already backed out. They already blew the whistle, but then they call us dead. So just how fast can we just line up in what we call just inside zone left delta? And we put a quick formation so we can scream it, yell it. There's no hand signal. We just repeat. And this happened to be a different game, different play, different package, but we were able to run it. If you notice just where everybody is, we didn't care. These guys are just talking down here in the bunch. Who's got the bubble? Who's got the hunt? Who's got the go? And they were just communicating. Anytime we get stacked defenders, we never play the first guy. We always play the second. So in this case, we should be running a post. We'll clear him and get back to the face. Anytime we see 4 guys, we never run a post to the 4th man by a number 1. You can run it by number 2 or 3 at a trips, just because you're going to cross his face, the second defender up top, the free safety's face. These guys, we had them really just kind of baffled. They were substituting. They're trying to get new packages in. They're trying to play our bunch with 4. They're trying to bracket our single receiver side up there with 2 defenders. They were playing our box with sometimes at times only 3-4 guys, just allowing a lot of different things going to go on. So this is just kind of a play that got thrown in, and probably shouldn't have thrown it in for this presentation, but to show it to you. Here's kind of the setup, right? So here's their 4-guy box. They're bracketing up top and press, and a 4-man we're going to call a 4-man to our bunch. And this is just, again, a way for us to set this thing up is we can bunch you and stretch you even more horizontally. Now, obviously, you do the number count, right? Everyone knows you get 4 in the box. It's an automatic run. We should be given the ball. Well, we also know that they're trying to press this guy inside leverage. They're trying to get a jam on him. They had been all game and quarter at this time. So quarterback does a good job and runs and just pulls the ball. Their DNs weren't even keeping contained. They were just trying to take away inside zone and letting their corners and DBs, I guess, kind of play the pass. So quarterback picked up quite a few yards in about a quarter and a half of this game because nobody was honoring him. So here's some things. Coach?
Do you ever run any other run concepts with Delta?
Oh, absolutely. We'll tag our power game, pin and pull, wrap the guard. We'll run fly sweep to it. I think my next screen or 2 shows just some motion with it. Let's see if I can go here. So here's just a case. We might be able to throw fly sweep action into it. All right. So now the number 3, the actual motion. We're starting in doubles. We motion a guy. This might be fly sweep. With that, we can also, double down to the backside backer. Reaper, replace the pulling guard, wrap him to play side, read the DN for a handoff. If we don't like it, we can always keep the back end. So we'll do is we'll keep this guy here, this left guard, pull him to make it look like we're running a fly sweep read, a power read on the fly sweep, as well as then just swinging this guy. So now we're naturally into the delta package. You can see we'll play with our pass protection and our power run game inside. And then some of the rules still apply to the outside of the left or the single receiver side. So absolutely. So these things can be applied either way. But which makes it kind of fun because it's, again, this is just what everyone now knows is just, RPO concepts, but it was built off of first man covered has the go, first man uncovered has the hunt, third or odd man out has the bubble, backside, go or posts, odd man or second man has a swing, bubble or flare. So here's what kind of looks like if we were just to be in a two-back set, we would tag the side. So in this case, I put up the word blue for meaning left. Some people use that. So we just called, kind of our split back, two receiver left, twins look, and we just called it blue delta. So the third man, obviously he's not a part of it. So these two guys got to figure out who has the go, who has the bubble, who has the hunt. Well, there is no bubble when there's only two of you. So this guy here becomes the automatic bubble. Single receiver side, automatic bubble by number two always. So that kind of gives us the thing here. Now in this case, I showed two guys here in position, corner and linebacker, both have inside leverage. We're assuming man, but as we see these guys running too high safety, we're thinking, well, we probably should just run the ball. They only got 5 in the box, right? We've got a plethora. I'm again just showing you what it would look like if we're in a two-back set, regardless of defense, regardless of their position. So this is just kind of assigning positions, what I'm trying to show you here. All right. In this case, I'd probably run some power, straight ISO up the gut or what have you. You'd show me this kind of front. Going here, so this is the way to stack it. We did this a number of times this year. We just called stack delta, double stack, and we just get into it. We just got to determine which side is the three receiver and what side is the two receiver, so the kids know or the guys know. Again, a running back can be either side, and he can swing to either side. So just because he's on the side does not mean he's automatically number 3 to the left. So we showed earlier, he can be on the right and swing left. Same kind of idea. So again, just kind of showing these guys are going to most likely communicate more often than anything. When they get stacked like that, they don't have to do hand signals. They don't have to wait for anything leverage. They'll just communicate because they already know one's going to bubble or one's going to hunt and one's going to go. And then the double receiver side, two receiver side. In this case, we just did a short motion just to help with the leverage, pull the defender in a little bit to get the horizontal leverage. Coach?
Do you ever have the receivers block instead of running the routes?
Oh, absolutely. If we don't tag delta, then it's just right back to our actual RPO concept. So if we were just to call, like in this case here, double stack, inside zone, right or left, or power right or left, they have their RPO concepts already to it. So they'll both automatically block, or depending on if we're a key 1 or key 2 or a key 3, who bubbles. And so the other two guys are going to stack block or 2-on-1 or just man-on-man block. So yeah, so our normal, I guess the normal RPO concepts of bubble slant or bubble screen or hit screen, all that stuff is part of the game. This is just delta and how we pull delta in to our actual offense in this case. Hopefully I answered the question. Thank you. So again, just showing you just different formation here. This here's now we start kind of playing with some position, right? So we still got our stretch. This is that team I showed you earlier. They put 4 guys to our trips or our bunch. We went ahead and said, hey, they out leverage us 4 to 3. They win. This side here, when we get an inside press with a stack guy, our automatic read goes to the stack guy. We don't care about the first level guy. Now we teach, obviously, like most people do, how to get off a press or get your stance. But we can move his alignment and moved him in a little bit more, which actually helps us. So now we're going to run a post. So this guy's outside beyond 6. So we're going to run the post off of this. And we teach our guy, if you do not see a quarterback throwing ball on your post, he's either thrown somewhere else by the time you made your post break, or he's scrambling. And if you recognize scramble when you turn your head, now you got to break it back, most likely across, because you don't want to continue across the field. As we always say, if you're deep, come short. If you're right, go left. If you're shallow, go deep. on any kind of quarterback scramble. So we practice the scramble stuff a lot as well, usually part of our Thursday pregame practice on air stuff, but we're just working it throughout camp and the whole season. But running back set to the trip side, inside zone. In this case, we actually tell him to F stay. So we wide bunch this. We call it track, F stay. So now he's going to help blocks. We're not really sure if we're going to get a 6-man pressure box or if we're going to get still the typical 5 these guys were showing us. And again, they kept throwing different things at us. So in this particular one, we just said F stay. We got these guys beat, especially if we get one-on-one to this type of bracketing they're doing us. So we go ahead and play this thing. Our guy gets beat. Quarterback begins to scramble. Running back steps up in the pocket to help. DN over here gets beat. So we've already run the post here, but number 1. On the backside, you see the bubble stretch. You see the hunt route and the go route. Okay. So as we begin to kind of see it, quarterback scrambles, we tell this guy never continue across, come back to the ISO corner. And it's that, it looks like our guys are just like playing catch. Hey, that was a scramble. The kid just kind of did it, coach. You're trying to say you coach this up. No, we do. And I'll show it to you in the next play. Same thing, different receiver, same exact concept, just a different result. Okay, so again, we go into a bunch. Now running back is set to the single receiver side. Again, we say F stay. This is a different team. I think this is a non-league game, week 7 or 8 of our season. These guys are showing, again, just kind of an awkward look to us. We don't have a nose. We have some double 5s with a 4-eye with stand-up backers. We're like, what the hell are they doing? This is kind of a radar defense. They got 4 guys taking care of our 3, so we just determined, okay, the 3 side are done, but there is a big hunt route here, and we want to get to that hunt. Again, where it would be over top of imaginary number 3 at a trips. So we can swing this guy. He's probably going to check. This guy's going to probably blitz and engage. Again, we don't care about this guy here. Okay? So we just say if they're going to bracket us, we read the second man. So in this case, we go ahead and read it. He's off 7. I'm going to run a post. I don't see the ball, so I'd bail it right back. There it is for a touchdown. Again, I'll let it roll again. Single receiver side says I'm reading the second man. Top guy, he's beyond 7. I run the post across his face. I don't see the ball on my post, so I curl it back. Now going back to the top side again, that hunt route I said earlier, we never settle if there's man pressure. So we're running the hunt, and we feel a guy on us, we just continue across. I think we could have thrown to this guy as well. He could have checked it down to a crossing route. Tough to engage, to hold that guy all the way across the entire field. In this case, we told running back to step up and help pass protect. DN our tackle gets beat by the DN. Quarterback steps up, and there it is. So instead of carrying this post all the way across the field, when you look, you don't see it, you should bend it back, and he does. So again, kind of just the same. Again, if you get the bracket, you get the combo coverage. We're looking for a post because you're reading the second man. Never read the first man. We don't care what he does in his position. We'll win the leverage war. That's kind of the rule we always say. So in this case here, we went into a trips, and we went ahead and said we're going to stack our inside 2. So the rule's still the same. Now, this happened to be a team in the playoffs that we said when we get down in the zone, we don't need to bubble to lose ground. We can attack them to make it more like a flood concept. So whoever would bubble, whoever guy bubbles, you're going to run just a quick out route. Everyone else, you still got your normal stuff. You see this guy here down here on the bottom, if I can get it to – he gives a hand signal to his guys. He's talking, hey, this is what I'm doing. These guys communicate. They just talk. Quarterback knows. Running back staying into pass protection. So they can go back up. I'm reading the post. Can't run a post because they got coverage there. This guy here should be running just a straight clear out, run into the corner of the end zone. But pre-snap read, we already know we got one-on-one right here. They've got 3 against our 2. As soon as we brought number 2 and stacked him, all of a sudden it changed the look of these guys. So we get our one-on-one. So if they bracket and combo all of this stuff, then we're going to the one-on-one, and that's what we do here. So now instead of kind of getting trips to the left, single receiver to the right, we brought our stack in a little bit. Now we get more one-on-one, catch, turn, and throw, and we're able to get our separation and score. But again, it's kind of, we're just trying to find that player position and play. In this case, it happened to be a position of the field, the red zone, happened to be our player against their corner, and here's the play. By doing so, it was just a matter of getting us into a kind of tweaking our formation. We still get the hunt or quick slant in this case because he mans us, so we carry it, and we get the speed out instead of the bubble. So on the top side of a single receiver, the rules apply just by leverage. He should not be running a post because he would normally run a post because here's the second guy he should be reading. He says, I can't run a post into all this garbage. I'm just going to do a clear, and that's what he does. So he runs a clear. He's looking for the one-on-one as well. This is probably going to be pretty short. So here we go. So here's a different way to look at this. And again, your player position and play and how you're calling your plays. We know that the corners usually always take number one, correct? I mean, my God, almost every program in the country does that. So how do I get my receiver, my player, against a worse defender? Well, I moved them in, right? We did that earlier too against another team. What we didn't do is I didn't move my running back outside to be number one. So now I go ahead and motion him. We see their stuff. Their corner has to come off our number one. That puts a linebacker on number one. Now, in this case, we went, okay, they still got 4 to our 3. This side's dead. They're taking away our hunt route because they're starting to play this defender here. They're starting to kind of bracket us. They had a guy over the top sitting here in the previous play. So we went ahead and said, well, we're going to go to the other single receiver side. Now we're going to go ahead and make it 2 guys. So go empty to the 2 receiver side. So now I get my best running back or best receiver against your linebacker who's not nearly as fast. Now, I show the play because the concept's real. Granted, we throw an incomplete pass. That does happen. And if I could coach completions 100%, that'd be pretty good. So we throw it, and I think, normally we win this, and I think we could go back. I want to say the next play, I think we come back to this 2 plays later, get another first down, move the chains. But as you can see, they're starting to kind of figure out how to take care of our bunch with 4 guys. But what they can't do is they can't defend the rest of the field. Now, some people would probably ask, do you do any other run plays besides zone? We also run our quarterback on stuff. We'll run quarterback trap or some form of a zone, maybe a pin and pull or just wrap a guard, kind of a draw play, what have you. But so, yeah, we do some other things, especially if we can get them to get out of the box. Right now, they got 6 in the box as we're kind of declaring. However, it's going to be one-on-one, so it puts 5 back in the box. Quarterback should have all day to throw. And there's that play. So not sure if I have maybe a play or 2 more here, and that's about it. So I make this kind of quick today. Here now we're starting to get this is that same team into the playoffs. I mean, every single quarter they changed their defense, it seemed like. So they're trying to figure out a way to defend us. We looked at this as now 4-on-4 out here. So over here we looked at this as 2-on-1. So this side is dead to us. This side's live. We just got to be able to tag what we want out of our our fullback. So in this case, we just called Delta F seam. So they still have the bubble hunt go. This guy here is now just going to clear out. So we should get a wide open hunt route. And there's the check. Boom. We'll take the free 5 yards. Some teams start trying to rob us. They bring a free safety down to rob that. Well, in that case, the running backs right down the middle of the field for days. We ran this last year against about 4 or 5 different teams. And the running back's down the middle of the field all by himself. And you would think, deep middle third, there should always be a defender. There's not. And it's because they're so worried about taking care of the check down hunt that we probably throw out of all the pass plays in this concept, we probably throw the hunt, I bet 50% of the time, if not just even 40% of the time. So we get quite a few, just checking it down to the hunt. Coach?
Any quarterback run game out of empty as an RPO?
As an RPO, we've called draw. We've called some traps or long trap, down, kick out the DN. Draw and trap is about the only thing we really do in that case. If we do a motion, we'll put a running back over here on the 2 receiver side or single receiver side in this case. We might, fly sweep him with our pin and pull and do a power run game with that. But usually if that's the case, if I have the running back and we throw a delta into this, the running back now has the bubble, which means I got to tag somebody else to run a go, a clo, a hitch. From this case, these guys are in a wide bunch, so maybe they run a smash route from the outside. If whoever has to run that fly sweep becomes the bubble guy, right? So someone else has to now we can't have 2 guys run a bubble. I guess you could, we just don't. In this case, we would tag somebody else. Running back gets the bubble. Quarterback can now do the whole power run read on a DN, if that be the case on our fly sweep. So hopefully that answered your question. I think I'm not sure how many more plays. I thought this was like one of the last plays. Again, here we go. There's two plays here. Let me come back to this. This is our bunch set. We get them wide and we put the running back a little tighter. Now, this is a mess up on my part, and I'm going to show you kind of what we want to do: a stop route, which was going to hold the free safety and open up the hunt route even more. But Knucklehead runs the wrong type of stop route for us that we wanted. And so we should be running a post by number 1 because he's off by 6. However, we got to keep it skinny because the free safety is on his hash, so there's not really much of a post. And it's only, we classify as single high. We're not sure what this guy here is doing. Is he trying to rob our hunt? If that's the case, the stop route's going to come wide open. So these guys down here still determining just between the 3 of them who's got the bubble hunt go. These guys are going to try to bracket 2 guys with our 3. And we're just going to say you can't defend all of this. So now all of a sudden we see late, the guy drops. Our stop route and our hunt route, one of those 2 are going to come open. Where the dang Knucklehead goes ahead and doesn't really run a stop. He runs kind of a little deeper hitch, takes away our hunt. We have a lot of bodies right here, and we shouldn't be. Our go route becomes a post because this guy's stacked over top of him. So I'm going to go ahead and instead of running down the sideline with man coverage, I'll cross his face and take the skinny post. Now they're kind of running almost like 4 verts against us. So everything underneath should be wide open. Quarterback ends up getting flushed out of the pocket on a 4-man pressure. Again, there's no under coverage because they're so deep. I'll show you this thing here. Now this is the exact same pass play concept. We switch these 2 knuckleheads and switch the guys. You see my slot guy. This was a hand signal we had in. This is last year. We switched these up. Usually our receiver coach will let him do his hand signals. So as he's running, he doesn't know what these 2 guys have already communicated. We're already kind of running a little bit late on this play. We told the slot, who is our running back, to go be running back, bring the slot back to slot position in this case. So he's coming over and just giving a hand signal. Hey, I'm checking. I got the bubble. I got the bubble. And we're like, yeah, we already know. Just get ready. So now we do a better job of actually running a stop. Same defensive look. Bracket, we're going to run a post on the second defender here. He runs down this F down the seam. Now this opens up because he runs kind of more of a clear path. Obviously now they're not dropping under coverage on him, but we're not confused, and things have to hit timing-wise, so we want some speed to get down the field. So put these guys back in the position they're more comfortable with, what they've been running, and now the hunt route opens up again. Coach?
All right. What defense gives you the biggest issues?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. We've had some trouble with more of the 3-5 over the years. However, bunch like this with empty causes a lot more problems because they can't cover the running back down the middle of the field. And if they do, they leave the hunt route wide open. But I would almost think, but even when they do that, we keep the running back in the pocket. It allows for basically the 2-on-2 on the single receiver side. And usually we can call a gift, we can call a hitch, a speed out, tag it. So in this case, let's just say they were in a 3-3-5 without this kind of quarters coverage. I can just tag. In our case, we call this L, our left wide out and right wide out. We call him L. We just L hitch, L out. We just tag it with the thing. So it's delta to everybody else. Running back in this case is empty, so we can tag this type of stuff. So we can still see some things and tag them, but everybody else's jobs remains the same. So we've kind of adapted it over the years to kind of fit more of what we're doing, especially when this more power spread type of game is kind of unfolded for us.
How many times per game will you run this concept? Like, do you have a set amount that you'd like to hit each game?
No, it's all predicated on kind of our game plan of what we believe. Like some games, hey, we know we're going to run the ball a heck of a lot. So today's game, hey, game plan, we're going to go 78% run. We're going to control the clock. We believe we're better inside the box than our opponents. In this case, we felt like we could totally run the ball on these guys. We felt like their perimeter game was more of their athleticism kind of being displayed in this program as more skill guys. We felt we could run the ball. But what they started doing is we found a lot of success this past season on these guys. So we went into this game thinking we're going to run, and we found out these guys can't cover us with our 4 wideouts or when we went empty. So it kind of changed as this game went on. I think the score on this game was like upper 60s to like mid-teens, and it was all because we were able to attack their perimeter with the same concept over and over and over, and they kept changing their coverage, but we just kept basically checking it down or finding the one-on-one, especially anytime they press. The press guys are the best teams to beat. When they press you, they're just thinking they're going to jam you. Well, you're going to beat me for 3 yards, but I guarantee you can't cover me for every yard beyond. And especially when you get into bunch or stacking just 2 receivers, it puts strain on the defense. And then we still have a run concept built into this thing with our quarterback. But normal game, I'll go into the game thinking that, hey, we're going to run, it's kind of a 60-40. But as this kind of season progressed, especially this last one, Delta became a big play, and it probably became 70% of our offense and almost everything that we did, because it would all play into the bubbles, the hunt route, even off a stick concept. We kind of piggybacked on the stick concept off of Delta, kind of still getting a vertical press with a horizontal stretch. We kind of just toyed around a little bit with each one, but pregame, game planning wise, we kind of already knew what we were going to go into. And again, this game here, we thought we were going to run the heck out of the ball because we just believe we were a lot better in their box. We thought their athleticism, athletes were all on the perimeter. They might match us better. In this case, we kind of put on a display in this particular game here. But this one here, we told the F to stay. This is kind of going back to that same non-league team. We're getting 3-on-3. Not sure what's going on, why it's slow here. But the concepts you can kind of see, like right now, pre-snap read, my quarterback's already looking. Hunt's going to be wide open. They can't defend the hunt. We got a 2-on-1 over here on this single receiver side. Running back's going to step up and stay. Obviously, I don't know why he steps up to inside the box, but I show you an incomplete pass. I'm showing you the concept. So this stuff happens, right? When you get pressure, running back doesn't pick up the correct guy. He should have been looking outside, C gap. We get flushed out. We throw a kind of a ball, throw it away. But in this case, just again, pre-snap read, my hunt route's coming open right now. So if we get the protection, it's already there. That's kind of what I was trying to show you there. So some people will ask, well, what do you do when everybody gets manned up? What do you do? So here's kind of just the rules, and we call it squirrel. So in a teenage world, we had to use a term that made sense to them, and they could kind of laugh with it and go with it. So in squirrel, the concept is number one man. So in our trips, the number one wide receiver, he's going to hold for a split second. It could be a fake lateral. It could just be a kind of run in place. He wants to hold for a split second. He's going to run the seam, which means he's going to come back and run the seam, his hash, up the field. But he's got to get under. Number two is going to run a wheel route. However, he's going to rub the inside upfield shoulder of the number one defender, so the corner. Number three is going to run an arrow route at that number one defender, the corner. And as soon as he gets there, he's aiming for the inside upfield shoulder, and he's going to post up. So we're going to get a kind of a double rub concept. We're not going to pick him. We're not going to, or I'm not going to block him. I'm not going to jam him because that'd be illegal. But we're going to rub, and our aiming point is to get to that guy's shoulder. So I threw a couple plays in here versus all man, and you can kind of see how things open up. Now I threw a couple plays in that we mess up, but I'll show you the concept and how it really works. So again, we call this squirrel because what do squirrels do all day? They collect nuts. So we're going to rub the nuts of the number one defender. That's kind of our funny, squirrely little name to bring up. So here's the concept on paper, right? So number one's going to take a lateral step. He's just going to hold for a split second. He's going to get underneath of 2 and 3, and he's going to run the seam of his side of the field. Number one, backside, you still have the same rules, right? So I'll jump over there real quick. We got a post or a go with a swing, okay? Number two, you got the wheel. Coming back to the side, you're going to rub the inside upfield shoulder of the corner. That's why we want number one. We want the L to hold for a split second just to kind of keep that corner locked in so he doesn't leave. We realize at this point the Z is now not going to be aiming where number one was. He's probably going to be almost where number 2 is. So you got to think, I'm aiming above number 2, probably 4 yards at most for a man kind of pressure on our number one. Once I get there, I'm going to literally just spin around like a big old post guy in basketball, elbows big, spin, and look directly at the quarterback, hoping for some body engagement by that defender as he's chasing the flat out of our L as the L's coming underneath. What ends up happening oftentimes is we throw the wheel route, comes wide open, or the seam comes down after we check this. If you didn't already pre-snap read, you're going to throw to the R on the backside. But usually the wheel, and then comes right to the seam. We've checked it down a couple of times to this post up, but it's very rarely. Just we got a guy on him, and he doesn't move. He just posts up, and then he works back flat down his new line of scrimmage away defender if the guy sticks with him. So this really is more of just, hey, we're looking for you to rub this guy and pick him. So here's the concept up top. You kind of see the 3 receiver side, running back to the single receiver side. He swings, they blitz and engage, even though I think we could have checked this down late. I threw this in here. As you see, it's really a crappy job by our L. This is that receiver I told you earlier. They have a corner that's just better than him. Well, he obviously is a new guy, comes in off because of an injury. Brought him up from the JV, didn't do so well in this game. This is his first one, but he's got the concept. He's just a little slow in developing, and it shows right here. So number 2's got the wheel. Number 3's got the post up. So let this thing just kind of play out. Okay. So we start to run the wheel. The corner starts to bail, so I'm trying to get to him. However, he bails back into what looks like a cover 3. What we had already determined, we're running squirrel off of this because they went straight man, and that's what we declared early. So we stuck with it. And because they were running man, so in this particular case, they look like they're running some zone. Number 3 is running towards to go post up on that basically defender. Now they roll coverage, so the new guy becomes that outside backer. Now you see that receiver start to run a seam. It's a little too late. So if he'd have done that seam, that thing's wide open. Let me play this back for you. If you just watch number 1, if he just hesitates for a split second and then comes back to that seam, he's wide open. That seam opens up. Look at that big giant hole in the middle of the field he can get to. At the same time, we run the wheel route, and I said before, the wheel becomes our first throw. And why we don't throw this thing right away, I think it's probably because quarterback sees the guy bail. So they're thinking deep third, and bam, there's that wheel route at the sideline. It's wide open. Again, just showing you the concept, right? All of us coaches, we all look great and we call the play and it works. It's fantastic. Well, in this particular case, say here I call the play. They check to squirrel, okay? And then we get ourselves into a situation where we have some young guys. But then what a great teaching tool for this young guy. All of a sudden he now sees it. He'll never make that mistake again. What have you. So I think that's it. Yeah, it is, guys. I appreciate you guys coming on. If there's anyone's got questions, what have you, love to hear them. Love to get feedback. If someone has a defense that thinks they can stop it, I'd love to hear it because I want to keep scheming to get better myself, to figure out ways that we can manipulate our offense a little bit more to attack a D. So absolutely. Thank you, Justin.
No, absolutely. If anybody has any questions for Coach, just drop it in the chat box. Coach, I know you shared your information before. Was your Twitter handle on there? If not, do you mind throwing it in the chat so if anybody has any questions, they can follow up with you?
Let me see if I can. Boom, right there.
Do you have a run game with Squirrel?
I'm pausing, kind of thinking, well, yeah, but we don't necessarily call it. Squirrel is what we check to when we see man. So we might call inside zone delta, and then all of a sudden they check man. So these guys now will go ahead and check squirrel, and we'll keep our concept. But we don't necessarily call, let's just say inside zone squirrel. I don't think I've ever called that, to be honest with you. It's squirrel is usually something the receivers will check to. If we get, pressing, all 3 guys are manned. Sometimes they'll check squirrel, but the backside, as we saw, as the go and the post are still the rules haven't changed, regardless if they press us, bracket us, even if we were to go empty and go 2 receivers on that backside. Our run game concepts doesn't necessarily change. Trying to think of a situation where maybe we could, but we just haven't. I don't think we've needed to. So, and that's kind of a vague answer for you.
Anyone else last minute questions for Coach? Coach, I appreciate you jumping on, man. I know we had to move a couple things around, but we made it happen.
I appreciate you being flexible with me. I can get back. Now I got a teaching meeting here in 10 minutes. So
you've been rocking and rolling all day. So once again, we thank you for jumping on with us and get over your Delta concept for sure. So Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Once again, guys, feel free to reach out to Coach if you have any questions in regards to this, or like you said, if y'all want to talk ball, that's what it's been about. And, he alluded to it earlier, man, the connections being made and just being able to do stuff like that has been super beneficial for this time. So we're making the most of it. That's for sure.